Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports for today's roundup of the 5th round of the Carling Currie Cup. A very interesting round, 2 bonus point victories in the 2 matches that were played. Obviously the third match between the Lions and the Bulls was postponed to the Wednesday the 6th of January, so it will be next week. So the only sides that played this weekend was the Western Province getting a bonus point victory against the Griquas before the Cheetahs put on a very impressive performance yesterday and beat the Sharks. Completely outplayed the Sharks, and the Sharks were very, very poor. So I think if you look at it, it was a pretty scrappy game on Saturday between the Western Province and the Griquas. And I think it's a scoreboard which flatters the Western Province in many ways. I don't think that they played well enough to sort of, well, they played well enough to get the bonus point, but, you know, were not phenomenal, weren't anything really special. You know, I think that they could have played a lot better, and I think the Griquas probably could have had more reward. I mean, the Western Province were made to do a lot of defending. And the defense wasn't bad. It was a lot better, which was the difference. So whilst they might not have been great in the attack, they did defend quite well. And that scrum dominance, the forward dominance, was the difference between the two sides, you know. And the Western Province, that's what they need to do. They need to look at the fact that that front row is the biggest thing they've got in their arsenal. And they need to try and use that to really good effect and to dominate games, put themselves on the front foot, and then try and get that backline more and more into the game. But it all comes down to using your forwards effectively, getting that dominance early on. And they've got such a big pack, such a big physical pack, that they really shouldn't be struggling to get that dominance. So, yeah, so it's an important victory for them. They do still have a couple of players missing. Sia Khaleesi came into some contact with someone with COVID-19, so he's currently missing as well. So, you know, still need to try and get a couple of players back from injury. And then the Cheetahs, in a must-win game for them, have kept themselves alive in the Currie Cup by completely dismantling the Sharks. And the Sharks just couldn't hold on to a ball. You know, I mean, scrums were pretty even. Cheetahs probably had the upper hand there, but when it came to, you know, attacking, the Sharks just dropped everything. There were knock-ons. It was sloppy. It was a very poor performance from the Durban outfit, and a lot of people are freaking out about it. So, which I think is a bit unnecessary. I think it was a very poor performance, but you know, you go back 6 months ago, Sharks were one of the best sides in Super Rugby, and definitely the best side in South Africa. So, you know, you don't just forget to play rugby after so many months, and there hasn't been that many differences. So there are quite a few injuries in there, a couple of players missing because of COVID and stuff like that. So it isn't the number one Shark side, but it is a bit worrying that they were so sloppy. But you do need to only go look back 2 weeks, and they did have a very good victory against the Bulls. Only the second side to beat the Bulls since the return after lockdown. So at the moment, consistency is the issue, and that's what the Bulls and the Lions sort of have had over their sort of other counterparts. They've had more consistency over the tournament. The Lions are pretty inconsistent in the beginning, sort of not being able to win, but have now sort of found that winning consistency, whereas the Sharks and the Western Province largely as well, even the Cheetahs to a certain degree, put in really good performances one week and then are quite poor the next week. So that's the issue. They've got to find that consistency. But if we look at the log now as of the weekend, so the Bulls are still first, but the Western Province are now second. They went 2 points ahead of the Lions, and the Sharks are fourth at 28 points. The nice thing is because the game between the Lions and the Sharks, I mean the Bulls and the Lions, didn't take place this weekend, that is a very true reflection of the log, because it is every team playing 10 games. So, you know, that is how it looks. But you see, suddenly it's very, very close. The Cheetahs beating the Sharks have blown the sort of top 4 up, because now, you know, certain results go different ways, and the Cheetahs could find themselves within the top 4. So when the Lions play against the Bulls have less to play for to a certain degree, but if they want to ensure that first spot, then that's the game they need to target. So all to play for in the next final 2 rounds. So it's going to be very, very interesting as it starts to sort of build up towards semi-finals, finals. There are still 5 teams that can qualify. And, you know, it's a very close competition. And I personally think the Currie Cup is starting to mean a lot more this season than it has in the previous years, because it's looking so close, because teams are playing better, and because it's a bit more open, and that it really is a competition where every team can beat each other. Because you've got the Cheetahs who have beaten the Bulls, the Sharks have beaten the Bulls, the Lions have beaten the Sharks, the Lions have beaten the Western Province, the Lions have beaten the Cheetahs, but the Sharks and the Western Province have also beaten the Lions. So whilst the Bulls are the favourites at the moment, they can be beaten. They have been beaten twice. And if the Lions go and beat the Bulls, then it really does throw the entire competition up and all over the place. So the only thing is the Griquas and the Pumas just can't compete at the moment. And it just makes, I mean, you can understand why. Their best players keep getting poached there. You know, the squads are thin as it is. So when they get injuries, when they have issues with COVID, it really does affect them a lot more than the bigger unions, which have better youngsters, more players contracted, etc., etc. But yeah, I mean, with the Rainbow Cup coming up next year, those top 4 sides really need to ensure that they are the semi-finalists, and that they sort of prove to Saru or SA Rugby, that they deserve to be the sides that have been backed in the Currie Cup. I mean, in the Rainbow Cup. But it really is starting to really become quite an interesting Currie Cup. The best Currie Cup I've seen in many years. Not necessarily the best rugby, not necessarily the most impressive performances, but it's just nice and close, and we're just seeing games where it can go either way, and that makes for good watching. So sometimes teams playing slightly worse rugby, if I were to put it that way, but having closer games, having a close tournament, makes for a little bit better watching in many ways, because there's that unpredictability, and we seem to have gotten that unpredictability back in the Currie Cup, which is very, very cool. But let me know what you thought of the weekend. Tomorrow we will be doing our team of the week. Wednesday we'll be doing our 5 things we learned. So make sure you keep it locked on Forever Rugby, on Forever Sports. Smash a like on the video, subscribe down in the bottom right hand corner there. Jump in the comments, let me know what you thought of the weekend. My name is Stephen, and I will chat to you very soon.